an 18-year-old woman. NewsNation political contributor, Democratic strategist Kurt Bardella joins us now, along with Republican strategist, radio talk show host Malik Abdul. Welcome both. The number, it stands out. Kurt, what's your take on that, first of all? I mean, like we were talking about it earlier off the air, and it's surprising to a lot of people. I happen to have kids in that age group, both male and female. It didn't surprise me. Maybe the number did, the overall number, but the idea, my daughter in college tells me a lot of the guys, they love Trump. A lot of the girls don't. That seems to be, but it's very, very interesting that it's split on age like that. What does it say to you, Kurt?
It's completely unsurprising to me. I think if you think about these demographics, you're expected to see women, 18 to 30. We're at probably a Taylor Swift concert. Where guys 18 to 30 are? They're at a Morgan Wallen concert. They're at a Luke Combs concert. They're at a country music concert. They're at a WWE event. They're living in that space that Republicans, conservatives, MAGA have done a really good job of making inroads into culturally, with the Joe Rogan effect, with podcasts, with really playing into that masculinity, testosterone-fueled entertainment space. Democrats so far have had nothing that even touches that
It's also algorithmic, right? Because think about it, we do, even at our age, we might do this. We pick up our device and you open Instagram or whatever it is, and there's something you talked about, they're trying to sell you an ad. But for young people who do spend a lot of their time on TikTok, really, they're getting only the information that they agree with, or that that it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think that's a big part of it, which is interesting, which plays into, let me go back to that Newsom quote again. I'm going to actually play it again in context now. Gavin Newsom on his podcast talking to Tim Walz. And that gets to, and Malik, about this, I guess the right-wing podcast world, for lack of a better term, right? That's what's getting fed to a lot of these guys. So Newsom and Walz are talking about this and said the following. Watch.
We're losing them. We're losing them to these guys online. We're losing them to people that I'm bringing on this podcast as well. That's why I brought.
These are bad guys, though. These are bad guys.
But they exist, and we could deny they exist. They exist. Not only they exist, they persist, and they're actually influencing young kids.
All right. Okay, Malik, what about that?
Bravo to your team for going back to that video, because I was going to mention it, but now that I see that has, because what you saw represented, that is the split in the Democratic Party. Gavin Newsom, and I think this goes further than just the podcast, the podcast bros, as many people now refer them. I think that it is how men have been made to feel in the country. So if you don't believe that a biological male should be participating in sports with biological women, where is the space for you? If you are a black male voter and you prefer Donald Trump, or you just didn't like Kamala Harris, as a candidate, then you had to be sexist or misogynist. So I think that these type of cultural things, in addition to what's happening in the podcast world, where many people over the years, Democrats have kind of had this, this big the dumb male syndrome, where they, at least is how they refer to men. And I think that's what you're seeing now. So I'm not even surprised at the numbers, because these have been trending this way for the years. The problem is that many Democrats, as much as Tim Walz did right there, they denied that it was a real thing.
Now, what's interesting about it, though, is it is really the gender gap. That 23% number, that is pronounced among younger people. I mean, it's not, the gender gap is nowhere close to that in any other age group. So it's very, very close, in fact. There's not much of a gender gap at all as you go up the age group. That part of it, Kurt, that could be real trouble, because young people become middle-aged people, become older people, if the Democrats don't figure it out. So what do they need to do to, quote-unquote, figure it out?
Well, I think that these numbers tell us, kind of foreshadow two things, and each party has a distinct challenge here. One, the Republican Party has a challenge with women, and that's not going to get any better if they continue to double down on this agenda of taking their rights away from them and trying to make choices for them and losing their body autonomy. That'll be a problem for women of all ages indefinitely until they figure that out. For Democrats, this is a problem, and Malik's right. The Tim Walz impulse to just dismiss all of it as, well, they're terrible, they're horrible, they're deplorable.
Meaning these people online, I think, the hosts
Steve
and that kind of
Bannons,
or whoever it is,
or the Ben Shapiros, or the Charlie Kirks, or the whoever.
Certainly not Malik Abdul, but go ahead.
No, we love Malik. But the problem of just saying, well, they're horrible, it's like, okay, maybe that individual is, but the millions and millions and millions of impressionable young men who are absorbing their content presentation, they're not all horrible. They're not all racist. They're not all sexist. Most of the time, they're just coming across it as infotainment because they're coming across their feed on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. Because as you said, Connell, that's how the algorithm works. If we as a party just dismiss all of them as horrible, we will never win another election ever again nationally.
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue, right? That's an issue that I don't think the party's talking about. They're talking about a lot of other things, you know, should Chuck Schumer be the leader? Should he have voted for all this kind of stuff that's out there now? But this is kind of a more fundamental issue, I think, to me. Malik, what's your take on it in terms of, you know, maybe you're not rooting for the Democrats to figure it out, but if they had to, what would they do?
Well, I think it's a difficult thing because there is a push and pull within the party, as there is, you know, really on the Republican side as well.
Yeah.
But until Democrats do an actual autopsy to figure out why they're losing, they have, you know, you can pushing back. It's easy. It's not that hard. Screaming outside of federal agencies, that's not hard at all, but actually finding out, and I think that Democrats since 2016 have failed to do an autopsy as to why people would be attracted to Donald Trump. And until they do that, going back to 2016, we're not talking about just the podcast world. They have to do a serious autopsy, and I just don't think that they're ready to do that.
Right, the dismissal of it right away. So how could you like the guy? All right, because and that I think Malik's right about that part, Kurt, which is essentially what you were saying. Final thought on this?
Listen, I've spent the last week, I have gone to the Houston Rodeo to see Brad Paisley. I've gone to Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, Texas, the world's largest honky tonk for the Texas Independence Day Jam. I even went out to Beaver Creek, Colorado to see Justin Moore. If you, as a Democrat, do not understand why you're losing with these men and why Donald Trump is popular, go to one of these concerts. It will become incredibly clear why you are failing with them. And if you think you want to turn it around or have a chance at it, go to one of these concerts, walk through that environment and think, does the message that you're communicating resonate at all with anybody you see in front of you?
Or maybe watch this panel if it comes up on your TikTok, right? Thank you, God. Thank you, Malik. Thank you, Kurt.
I'll share it.
Interesting discussion. I know you will. You're an influencer. Thanks to both of you guys. All right, I'll tell you what.